Which rising sign is the brightest, the warmest, and has the most gorgeous mane of hair? Leo rising. Let's talk about them and let's cover the sun position in your chart through all 12 signs and 12 houses. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer. I do natal, predictive, and relationship readings mostly, and I use whole sign system in my delineations. If you'd like to book a reading with me or if you'd like to follow me on Instagram, check out the links down below. And if you're new here, please subscribe, leave me a comment or a like. I really appreciate all of your support. So I did do a video about sun, moon, and rising sign. It's right there. You can take a listen to find out what the difference is between each, how being a Leo sun, it differs from being a Leo rising and what those represent. And if you'd like to find out your rising sign, if you're not sure, there's also a link to a calculator in the description of this video. So Leo rising, people born with the Leo rising are the children of the sun. So automatically, some of the description of their personality comes from that, right? Like they're bright, they're noticeable. They walk into the room and people see them. Maybe, early in life, especially, I think maybe they dress in a certain way. They have makeup that kind of like draws attention. They tend to have a larger head and like hair that just like they get lots and lots of compliments on their hair. So if you ever want to guess someone's rising sign and you see that they have like the brightest, I don't know, the biggest mane of hair, it's likely that they will be a Leo rising. They tend to be louder than most people and really good at drawing attention to themselves. Personality wise, of course, like their sun could be in a sign like a Virgo or like Blake Lively, for example, Leo rising with a Virgo sun, and there is going to be humility once you find out more about them. Even Leo suns have, like, they can be really humble, but I think first impression will be like really bright, really energetic, kind of someone who likes to be the center of attention or someone who's good at being the center of attention. They have really high standards for themselves, I think, and for a lot of people, and they will likely never stoop down to pettiness or name calling. They will try to be kind and, really like nice and lovely people. They have a creative streak, so a lot of times they make there's so many Leo, Venus, suns in the acting world, right? So there's some kind of creative talent often will be. Maybe they are a chef, maybe they're a musician, an actor, anything like that. And professionally, they may also have jobs that require you to look up to them. So maybe it's like a teacher or a mentor or a fitness instructor, right? Like they make really good leaders. And they do their best to express the best version of themselves. So not only there's that, nobility of character, there's also desire to improve oneself. And they can also be quite like dramatic sometimes, or they could put on a show. That's why I think that creativity goes hand in hand. And they can be quite lucky with money. That's just something, maybe they inherit money, maybe it just comes to them from other people, through their professional skills, through their creative skills. I think people usually are drawn to them because they feel warmer in their presence and they're inspired by them. The healthy Leo rising can do a great job at inspiring people towards becoming the best version of themselves. So let's talk about the sun in all signs and houses. And I use whole signs, so you can listen for each, listen for your sign and listen for the house, because in whole sign, if the sun is in Leo, it's always going to be in the first house. If the sun is in Aquarius, it's always going to be in the 7th house. But if you use Placidus or other system, it might be a different house. So I would listen for the sign and then listen for the house if you didn't resonate with it quite fully. So if you have the sun in Leo or the sun in the first house, this is a very classical child of the sun personality. They show up and you notice them. They don't really hide anything. They present themselves very honestly. what you see is what you get, right? There's not kind of like Sun in Leo, no, Leo rising but Scorpio sun, where they come across really bright but really they're very private. When you have Sun in Leo and you are a Leo rising, you will just be truly yourself. There's a strong sense of self, and then it's also likely that you like a lot of attention, but yeah, you will enjoy attention, and you may be kind of, like really sensitive to the way people perceive you. Like if they ignore your words, there might be a sense of like being hurt a little bit, or like your ego being hurt. It's a great position to work for yourself because that leadership talent will show up, of course. And to do work that also allows you to be in the spotlight, right? Unless there are some other contradictions, because we're really just covering one placement in the whole chart, and everything is a story, right? You don't want to just focus on one thing. Having the sun in the first house, having the sun in Leo is also really good for vitality and for having a lot of physical energy. So it betters your health, or at least the original reserves of health and vitality that you're given. For those who have sun in Virgo or sun in the second house, you likely have a strong value system, a strong kind of like focus on your finances. With the sun in the second house, it's highly unlikely that you ever let your money slip away, right? Like you notice, you pay attention, you're like practical when it comes to money, especially because the sun is in Virgo. And you will also likely express yourself through the things that you own. For example, I know someone with the sun in the second house, and every time you see him on Zoom, like his background has like books and piano and guitars, and he's a musician, and like he's an astrologer, and there's like astrological books. So whatever you own, whatever you buy will be more personal than some other people might do. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are materialistic, I wouldn't say, but there's that sense of like identity getting tied to possessions a little bit more. And maybe you just own one thing, but it's like a locket that your mother gave you, and then you can meet your twin sister and like you connect the lockets and it makes one. I watched too many Brazilian telenovelas when I was a kid. There might be a desire to spend on expensive things because it's the sun in the house of money. Maybe you like to buy like kind of luxurious things or more fancier things. And you may also make money through being, I think it applies to all Leo risings, but like if you have the sun in the second house deals with resources, finances. You can make money through creative pursuits and through being seen and visible, right? Like maybe even you shine light on the financial matters. Maybe you're a financial advisor, but some kind of self-expression connected to money. If you have sun in Libra or sun in the third house, there's a lot of focus on your neighborhood and writing, communication. It is often seen in the charts of business people, entrepreneurs. There might be a sense earlier in life because the sun is fallen in Libra, so it takes a little bit to build up your confidence. So maybe earlier in life you feel more insecure, like, you don't get recognition for your efforts and like you don't get the best results. And even relationships with siblings, because third house is your siblings, there might be a sense that there's just kind of like they're there, but you're not really connecting to them deeply. Eventually, I think you build up your confidence and you may start a business or start some kind of like personal initiative. And it's also a very friendly placement, especially, it's the sun in Libra, it's the third house, place of your neighborhood, very much like a friendly mailman archetype. You walk around, you chit chat, you know everyone, you know the name of your barista, and they give you free coffee. There might be something like that. And another possibility or another interpretation of having the sun in the third house is being having like a really active schedule, right? Like being constantly busy, having more activities. And when it goes to siblings, you can also have a sibling that is very solar, someone who is perhaps super bright, and maybe that's why your connection to them isn't as strong, because they just overpowered, right? Like they overpowered and they took all attention away. At the same time, because you have that active personality, active schedule, you're also likely someone who has a lot of ideas and someone who can't even, that's why, you know, eventually you may come to having a business, because you have all these ideas to express. Active mind. For those with their sun in the 4th house or sun in Scorpio, there will be a lot of focus on home and family, and maybe even like a certain deep connection when it comes to your physicality, like, you know, physical body, looking as a parent, maybe a mother, maybe a father. The mother actually in this position, the mother can be kind of like a father for you. So maybe she like took on the role of a father, and it's possible that, you know, your early life had to go through some kind of like transformations in your relationship with your parents, or that one crucial parent also goes through transformative events. You will be highly focused on owning a property, owning some land, standing on your own 2 feet, right? Like having a place that you can call your own. I also know someone with a sun in the 4th house, and like he really wants to buy his family's old home when his parents retire. So property and family hold high value. You might also enjoy, you know, you can actually, with this position, you can be like working for the local government and be like in politics, because 4th house is your home, but it's also your homeland. And Leo rising is the authority sign, right? So maybe you're working in the government and taking charge of beautifying your town or something like that. With the sun in the 4th house, your identity, that's one of those situations, right? Where outwardly you may show up as that bright, outgoing, super social personality, but your sun is in the 4th. And so your true light actually gets only expressed in those familial settings. And you may sometimes feel like people outside of your family don't quite get you or don't quite understand who you are. And it's likely because that Leo rising energy overpowers. You're likely highly intuitive and able to pick up vibes from other people. You know, obviously the sun, both the sun in Scorpio or sun in the 4th house gives that. And you place a lot of you spend a lot of time in the home, and you place a lot of value on your family and your familial relationships. For those with the sun in the 5th house or sun in the sign of Sagittarius, sun is pretty happy in Sagittarius. There's a lot of focus on romance, creativity, and children. You're likely highly playful. Maybe you're doing something creative for fun, and you develop your personality through pursuing fun things, right? Like there's kind of a lot of focus on enjoying life, be that through food, sex, romance, painting, drawing, singing. Being a parent usually is quite important, and you're likely going to be like a very playful parent. It's also a possibility with the sun in the 5th house that it is your child, like your child is someone who's like bright and bold and noticeable and playful. There's usually a lot of joy to be found, right, in relationships with children. That's why people with the sun in Sag or sun in the 5th house are likelier to become parents. And creative things, for sure. Like you want to express creativity somehow, be that through art or, you know, people having sun in the 5th house can also make you highly athletic. So there's a need to express self in that sector. You can also be a teacher, like a children's teacher. And even if it's not the case, because we would have to look at your midheaven and what's happening to your midheaven, I think you will be a source of light to your children. Your kids will perceive you as someone who is highly, like, you know, educational. Yeah, and you want to make sure, I think like your light will shine the most when you are either competing with someone or playing or creating. You want to make sure you're feeding that side of your personality. For those with the sun in the 6th house or sun in the sign of Capricorn, you will be someone whose identity is seen through the acts of service, through the acts of taking care of the behind the scenes matters. Maybe you work in some kind of service industry. Maybe you're a manager, like you can make a really great manager. But people with the sun in the sixth sometimes can get stuck taking care of all the background, detailed kind of work. And it's really important to get noticed or to get recognized, to have people compliment your work and appreciate all the effort you put in. Because you also have that power with the sun shines light. You have power to remind people that, you know, hey, you really need to take care of your health, like eat your vegetables, make sure you file your paperwork. You have that awareness of the things to do. But you want to make sure you're not just stuck doing that groundwork. You also want to make sure you have fun, right? And maybe a way of having fun is like calling up your friend and going to do laundry together. There might be a more tough relationship with the father because sun represents the father. And the father that's represented by the sun in the sixth house is usually a parent who is kind of like a tough love parent. Maybe, you know, they're there when you need them. Like they will lend you money, they will fix your wardrobe if it broke, but they're not necessarily going to be like the warmest and the most lovey-dovey personality. You want to, I think with the sun in Capricorn, with Leo rising, you also want to make sure that you ask for help. You don't just like handle everything because you have great leadership skills or great organizational talent. Love for pets comes with having the sun in the sixth house, and being a veterinarian or being a doctor, being a nurse can often come with that. Basically, your light shines the most in those situations where people need help, support of some kind. And you also build your self-esteem as you help people. For those with the sun in Aquarius or sun in the seventh house, you see yourself through your relationships. Your identity is most strengthened, and your ego and your confidence is most strengthened when you are connecting with other people, when you're interacting with them, when you're giving and receiving in exchange, right? As always, with the ruler being in the seventh house, there might be that tendency to lose oneself and lose your personal goals and your personal desires in a relationship. So you want to make sure that you have a stable identity, or you have something that you really enjoy doing outside of a relationship. Your partner might be very solar, like someone who's bright and someone who draws attention, someone of noble character, right? Like someone with notoriety. And you may gain financially from your marriage too. Watch out for the ego battles in a relationship. Wherever you have Mars or the sun in the seventh house, there might be that tendency to kind of, you know, try to overpower one another or express yourself, or like be very sensitive to what's happening. So you want to make sure that you're not expressing yourself to the detriment of the relationship. Try to be careful. With the sun in Pisces or the sun in the eighth house, a highly intuitive placement, right? Like you might be naturally interested in tarot, astrology, mysteries, conspiracy theories. You can be a great researcher, a great investigator. You might be fascinated with death, right? Kind of like have your own personal interest in it. And you can also be seen as the source of light for people going through tough situations, because the eighth house is the place of like sudden events, financial losses, abusive situations, dangerous situations. So with the sun being in your eighth house, you can be, you know, you can bring your light to those topics. You can help people see hope in those matters, right? Like you can be some kind of like source of light and guidance to people. There's also, like a great therapist too. I think psychology might be something that comes naturally to you. And there might be like a very mysterious, alluring quality to you, which, like, you know, all Leo risings have a little bit of that attractive quality, but even more so, I think, when you have your sun in the eighth house. A lot of focus on self-improvement, a lot of joy from working with other people, a lot of joy from helping other people. maybe you're working for the government, maybe you're working in a job that requires a lot of kind of research and investigation. And your father can be someone who has been through a lot of traumatic experiences and suffered some challenging events, right? So the relationship with the father sometimes goes through a lot of transformations, and it could be quite tricky at times. But you definitely want to connect as much as you possibly can to that more spiritual, intuitive side of yourself. For those with the sun in Aries or a sun in the 9th house, you're like a guru. Sun is happy in the 9th house. 9th house has been traditionally called the house of God. And sun is the god of our solar system, right? It's like the main light that all planets circle, and we all want more of the sun, right? Like we want more light because it's connected to joy. So having the sun in the 9th house is great for learning. You're likely someone who's constantly learning and bettering yourself, and traveling, I think, brings a lot of joy, meeting people of different cultures, connecting with people of different cultures. Being a teacher can be seen with the sun in the 9th house because you do have a lot of knowledge, and it's likely that other people will come to you for advice. They will come to you for guidance. Watch out for being too pushy with people, right? It's still an Aries sun. Watch out for being too confident in your ideas and kind of dismissive of other people's thoughts. But if you understand that you need other people and you can work with other people, then there's a lot of benefits that can be found from this position. For those with their sun in Taurus or sun in the 10th house, you are someone who's very professionally oriented. Your identity is seen through being a source of light to people. It's literally the sun at the very top of the chart, the brightest time. And so the identity gets strengthened when you pursue professional things, when you gain status and you reach a position of authority. You cannot be stuck behind, a desk somewhere. You need to be the person that other people see, like an advisor, a counselor, a teacher, an actor, performers of some kind, right? Like a leader, even, being seen as a leader, being seen as an important person is valuable for you. There is a sense of seeking stability professionally and like wanting a job that satisfies that Taurian desire for stability. But I think once you figure it out and once you have succeeded, right, like you can maybe pursue things that deal with volunteer work or giving back and having a career that also serves others. Not that your career from the start cannot serve others, but I think there's just a bit more focus originally on the material gains or material success. And whatever you do, your leadership skills will shine, I think, with this position. For those with the sun in Gemini or sun in the 11th house, you're likely very other people oriented. You shine when it comes to getting together with your friends. You may enjoy socializing. You may enjoy meeting new people, right? I think even if you're kind of shy, there's other aspects. If your moon is in the 12th house and you need alone time, having the sun in the 11th is just like very other people oriented, and also like very oriented, very focused on the social welfare and helping people and connecting to people. Great leadership placement. Some of the major politicians had their sun in the 11th, like Bill Clinton has his sun in the 11th. I'm not sure about his rising or his sun sign. I just know it's in the 11th. You can really benefit from pursuing careers that are dealing with social media or careers that are connected to large organizations, charity, volunteer work, for sure. Because you want to be seen in the social context. You want to be seen as the light, as the guide of people. You seek friends that are highly communicative, I think, like having a friend who doesn't talk. Or maybe you are the one who talks a lot, obviously, as a Gemini sun. You're likely, to talk a lot, but your friends might also be similar to you, like also kind of like, chit-chatty and friendly and supportive, and you're able to benefit from your friendships too. So make sure that you're talking, if you need support, make sure that you ask everyone you know, and you never know where help may come from. For those with their sun in Cancer or sun in the 12th house. So when your identity is tied to the 12th house, it means that you are ultimately finding some kind of spiritual self-expression in this life. You may be focused on learning more about religion, spirituality, astrology, mysteries, because your light shines in that sector of the 12th house. You will enjoy helping people who are isolated and somehow misunderstood. So this could be, like a great position for an astrologer, for example, or a healer, or someone who works in a mental asylum, someone who works with people in prisons, because you have that nurturing soft light and you make them feel seen. There might be, as always, with 12th house, there might be a lack of confidence, especially earlier on, and certain losses you had to experience. Maybe those losses are connected to your father. Maybe your father went to another country and you didn't see them as much, you didn't know them that well. And it's also highly possible that you connect to foreign lands. Whenever you have the ruler of the first house in the 12th, it might mean that your identity gets strengthened by moving away. And you may benefit a lot, you may grow a lot, you may develop your personality a lot when you are moving to another country. You're likely to enjoy alone time and enjoy meditation or enjoy working privately and quietly. And you may be more introverted versus other Leo rising people who have other combinations. Working alone, being kind of like pursuing your imagination, writing poems, writing music could be a big part of who you are. And Cancer is a very healing, very supportive energy, so you can be like a great healer, doctor, therapist, anything like that. So this is all I have. I hope you guys resonated with this. If you like my work, leave me a like or a comment, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye.